beautiful souls. All right, so it's been a long time since I've been on a live, but I only have 2 more lives that I need to do for Proverbs, so I really want to get on. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that. I haven't been on for a while, so Happy Thanksgiving. I'm not sure where else I haven't, what other holidays I missed. But I'm back in Proverbs. Hello! And this will probably be a short live because I really want to do a live today and hopefully a live tomorrow. Hello! And we will see. We will see if I believe I will do Proverbs 25, 26, 27. And then tomorrow I can do 28, 29, 30, and maybe 31. I might have to do a live maybe by itself, but we'll see. We'll see how far. Maybe I'll do a couple this time and then I won't have to. It's good to see you too. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to go straight into it. Proverbs 25. These also are Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter. As the heavens for height and the earth for depth, so the heart of the king is unsearchable. Take away the dross from silver, and it will go to the silversmith for jewelry. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. Do not exalt yourself in the presence of the king, and do not stand in the place of the great. For it is better that he say to you, "Come up here," than that you should be put lower in the presence of the prince, whom your eyes have seen. Do not go hastily to court, for what will you do in the end? When your neighbor has put you to shame, debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he who hears it expose your shame, and your reputation be ruined. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver, like an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold is a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. Like the cold of snow in the time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him, for he refreshes the soul of his masters. Whoever falsely boasts of giving is like clouds and wind without rain. By long forbearance a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. A man who bears false witness against his neighbor is like a club, a sword, and a sharp arrow. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a bad tooth and a foot out of joint. Like one who takes away a garment in cold weather, and like vinegar on soda, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. The north wind brings forth rain, and a backbiting tongue, an angry countenance. It is better to dwell in a corner of a house top than in a house shared with a contentious woman. As cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a far country. A righteous man who falters before the wicked is like a murky spring and a polluted well. It is not good to eat much honey, so to seek one's own glory is not glory. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. Hello, welcome in everyone. I am in Proverbs. So that was Proverbs 25. It was cool because I was just doing my Bible study and it was talking about righteousness. So I'm just writing down righteousness. The chapter, it says, there's a couple of notes here on my Bible. It says, for verse 1, well, verse 1 talks about Hezekiah. It says he wisely commissioned a group of his counselors and scholars to compile the Proverbs of Solomon. Thank you. Thank you for the likes. Welcome in. Okay, and for verse 2, it says, God has not chosen to reveal everything about himself. God conceals some things, but what is needed in order to obey him is revealed clearly. The king must investigate God's revelation to lead his people rightly. These verses praise not academic research, but administrative ability. A king needs godly wisdom so that he can make wise decisions, and that's very true. There's another note for verse 12, and it says, a rebuke given in love and received with intent to obey at the right time, in the right place, and in the right way is more valuable than gold. I always have, before, I used to think that I would have to get counsel from people, that I respected or admired. But sometimes there are people that say the right things and the Lord uses them, because, the Lord can use a donkey to speak to you. But I've learned to just take everything to God, because sometimes these people might not be doing the right thing. They might not be living the lifestyle that you think that they need to be living, but the Lord still uses a lot of what they say to convict you, and I think it's important to always be teachable, especially if it's a wise person. But I know that there has been people that have said things, I'm like, ooh, I could see the Lord using that. They don't even know it. I think the Lord just kind of intervenes or something, because they'll say things and I'm like, yeah, that hit. So for verse 16 and 17, it says, overdoing anything can be a problem. And that's the one that I was talking about, honey. It says a disastrous difference exists between healthy appetite and greed or gluttony. And for verse 21 and 22, there's a note here that says, caring and compassion, not revenge, should characterize Christians. Kindness makes an enemy ashamed and invokes a blessing from God. Coals of fire are the feelings of guilt, which are far better felt now as shame than later as punishment. When a person shows compassion to his enemy, the Lord rewards them. And then it says, what is happening inwardly affects the outward appearance both positively and negatively. My words are getting all mixed up. But I will go ahead and move on to the next chapter, because I don't want this to be like a super long live. It's been a while since I've been on, and it just takes me a while to get on these lives. So I know they get pushed out, and I get a lot of you guys coming in later. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and continue reading, and I will post these on my YouTube, and I post them on TikTok individually in the chapters. So far I have Proverbs 1 through 24 on there, and I have the lives on YouTube, but it's just the full lives, so it's whatever I kind of just talk on here. It's not separated by chapters. I figured it'd be easier just to put it just all one live, so I normally just like download it and then I just kind of split it up. But I really like having the Proverbs, and I've been wanting to finish the Proverbs. That's why I'm like, it'll just be a short live, and then I might be able to do 4 chapters today. But the next one is Proverbs 26. As snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Like a fleeting sparrow, like a flying swallow, so a curse without cause shall not alight. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Like the legs of the lame that hang limp is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire, and the transgressor his wages. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There's more hope for a fool than for him. The lazy man says, "There's a lion in the road. A fierce lion is in the streets." As the door turns on its hinges, so does a lazy man on his bed. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl, and it wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. Like a madman who throws firebrand arrows and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, "I was only joking." When there is no wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. As charcoal is to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. Fervent lips with the wicked heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. He who hates disguises it with its lips and lays up deceit within himself. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone will have it rolled back on him. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Hello. On this one, let's see. There was one, it was funny because I was thinking of like the lazy man. And one of the verses it says, it's funny where it says he buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back up to his mouth, so it's like he doesn't eat. I thought that was funny. But there was another one that says, as a door turns on its hinges, so does a lazy man on his bed. And I just imagine, like, I always think of it like the time where I'm like, I go back to sleep and I'm like, 5 more minutes, and I just cover myself. I think of like the hinges that were covering. It's talked a lot about like fools. And I love that they say, where is it? There was a couple of times where it talks about Proverbs in the mouth of fools. It's like, I think like earlier what I was saying, like sometimes when people are saying things and they may be saying it true, but because of their walk or maybe just even not being like a Christian or something, sometimes that will make it just seem like worse. On this one it talked about the legs of the lame that hang limped is a proverb in the mouth of fools. And then the other one says, he who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. And the verse, for the beginning verses, it said, the fool's is graphically painted as a ludicrous individual. A fool must be controlled by a rod or a physical force because he cannot be reached through his intellect, and he does not respond to reason. A fool cannot be trusted with the message, and wisdom is as useless to a fool as the paralyzed limbs of a lame man. A fool cannot learn from experience, even though his habits are disgusting. He returns to repeat them. The fool has the possibility of learning, and conceited individuals is more hopeless. Oh, thank you for the roses. I missed that. Like said, you have a flash school. I'm like, oh. It keeps telling me, you want to invite this person as a guest? And I'm like, I don't know why it keeps asking me that. It's interesting that they have new things where it's like AI, and it's like, do you want AI messages? Do you want it to describe, I guess, my life? It's very interesting. I have not learned how to do all that stuff yet. For verse 13 through 16, it talks about the lazy person is a tragic figure glued to his bed. He gives ridiculous excuses to get out of work and is totally helpless. He is called the sluggard and described as a person who neither begins nor completes things. His slothfulness causes him to be restless. He is truly pathetic. That is such a... Okay, so a lot of people use the term fool very lightly, and that is probably one of, like, I feel like because the Bible says the word fool so many times as such a terrible thing, I always look at that word as such a terrible word. I know a lot of people look at different words differently, or even like curse words and stuff, but fool, for some reason, I don't know, like, I would not want to be a fool. I think that is a very powerful word in the Bible, someone that you don't want to be. So I do not like that word. Verse 17 through 28, it says, the commentary in my Bible, it says, speech is a popular topic in Proverbs. The negative impact of words said without thinking or with evil intent cannot be underestimated. Quarrels, deceit, gossip, and lying. I love when it talks about the tongue. The tongue is very powerful. What we say to other people, what we say to ourselves, what we say about ourselves. I think it's very powerful. I had just heard, I think it was a reel, and it was talking about the difference between manifestation and what we're like because what we're saying over our life, something like that. The way they described it was much better than probably the way I'm going to describe it right now. But they were saying, like, I think it was in the Bible. I'm not sure which time the Israelites were saying it, but they were talking about how they were saying, like, oh, they're not going to be able to do this, or they can't do that, or they can't, there was just all these can'ts. Hello. And the idea that they were saying all the things they couldn't do, they weren't even trying. So it wasn't the idea of like manifestation or anything like that, but it was more of like they were putting that on themselves, that they were not trying, they were not believing, they were not walking in faith. They just started to be very kind of frivolous with their words. And because I think it's the power, there's life. I'm going to look it up because I know I'm going to say it wrong. When it talks about the power of the tongue. And I'm not talking anything like with manifestation or anything like that. It's just how we, it's like if you're not going to believe what the Lord's going to do, and you're kind of trusting in what you say and not what the Lord says. Oh, I'm looking up life, but I need to look up tongue. I'm looking up the wrong things, guys. Is it power? Maybe I'll look at power. I love this Bible. I always talk about my Bible. This Bible has a concordance index. It has commentary. It has just different resources that are really helpful. I don't know if it has the year Bible as well. It might have the year Bible towards the end, but it's a study Bible. So I like when I can't look up, or I can't remember something. I mean, now we have like apps to do it, but I don't know. I really like this. I'm gonna look at power. I don't see it on there. I don't know why I can't think of that number, the verse. No, I feel like I just read it too. Oh, there was another one I saw, and it was talking about the same kind of verse, but it was talking about lip filler. It was very interesting that they were talking about lip filler when it came to the way, I don't know why they linked it together with that verse, the verse that I'm looking for. I'm trying to find it. That's a nice thing about these lives. It's pretty much me just looking up stuff as I go. I went back to Proverbs 15. It does talk about the tongue, but it's talking about not the verse that I want. If you guys think of it, you can put it in the comments, because that is going to be on my mind. I might have to just come back and look it up and share it with you guys later. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait on that. Just because I do want to finish. I'll be able to have time to finish probably both of these chapters, and then tomorrow I can finish Proverbs, which that's my goal. Because I wanted to finish Proverbs before the end of the year, and I have not. So I'll go ahead and continue on. Proverbs 27. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips. A stone is heavy, and sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than both of them. Wrath is cruel, and anger a torrent, but who is able to stand before jealousy? Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. A satisfied soul loathes the honeycomb, but to a hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. Like a bird that wanders from its nest is a man who wanders from his place. Ointment and perfume delights the heart, and the sweetness of a man's friend gives delight by hearty counsel. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend, nor go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. My son, be wise, and make my heart glad, that I may answer him who reproaches me. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. Take the garment of him who is a surety for a stranger, and hold it in pledge when he is surety for a seductress. He who blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising in the morning, it will be counted a curse to him. A continual dripping on a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever restrains the wind, and grasps oil with his right hand. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Whoever keeps the fig tree will eat its fruits, so he who waits on his master will be honored. As in water face reflects face, so a man's heart reveals the man. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. The refining pot for silver and the furnace for gold. And the man is valued by what others say of him. Though you grind a fool in a mortar with a pestle along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks, and attend to your herds, for riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure to all generation. When the hay is removed, and the tender grass shows itself, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in, the lamb will provide your clothing, and the goats the price of a field. You shall have enough goat's milk for your food, for the food of your household, and the nourishment of your maidservants. For verse 1 and 2, it says, the uncertainty of the future makes it presumptuous to predict what tomorrow would bring. This does not discourage wise planning for the future, and in fact encourages wise use of today. Therefore, it is prideful to assert that anyone has knowledge of tomorrow. Another form of pride is self-praise. It is far wiser to let another issue your praise. For verse 5 and 6, it says, open rebuke suggests constructive criticism or loving correction, and is evidence of the love of a true friend. Concealed love is too cowardly to admit that rebuke and correction are necessary ingredients in the edification that is a part of genuine friendship. Hearty counsel, literally advice of the soul, is saturated with compassion. It gives delight, edifies, and encourages. For verse 10, it says, long-term friendship is precious indeed. It is not intended to demean the help of a brother, but to emphasize that of a trusted friend. We cannot choose brothers or sisters, but a friend freely chosen can sometimes be closer than a blood relative. Often, a relative lives far away, and a friend who is nearby is an immediate help in time of trial. I like that. For verse 15 and 16, it says, a contentious woman is as untamable as a wind and slippery as oil. Her character is unsteady, and she cannot be restrained. Restrain literally means hide. Suggests that a woman's contentious character cannot be hidden from neighbors and friends. Concealing her contentious spirit is like attempting to enclose the wind. For verse 17, it says, constructive criticism can be a precious link between two friends. Iron rubs against iron, shapes and sharpens it. In the same way, discussion and soul-searching interaction between friends brings obvious change. A woman's thinking and even her face are shaped and sharpened as a result of her rubbing together with another. And it's talking, I have a woman's study Bible. That's why it says woman. But it's very helpful when you have, I love that soul searching interaction. I think that's very important because I think we can be very frivolous with how we spend our time with our friends and how we are interacting with them. I have been trying to be more intentional and trying to be more, I feel like more in prayer before I hang out with my friends, because I think it can be very easy to like vomit, like word vomit, where you're just pouring out and everything flows out. Not that you shouldn't be able to confide, but I think there's a difference between confiding and bashing or gossip. You know, like we want to be able to pour out our hearts, but in a way that is biblical. I think the Lord wants us to walk alongside each other and to walk alongside others and to be encouraging and to be a listening ear. And sometimes it is listening to the same story over and over again, but you know, there's healing in that. There's healing in sometimes we have to get sick of ourselves and sick of our own like stories and realize, okay, and move past and have that healing, you know. So verse 28, it says, verse 28. I'll move on to the next chapter. It's not super long, so it'll be perfect, and then I will get off because I love doing these lives. I think they're so beneficial for me because every time I read the Bible out loud, it's very different, but it is quite challenging. I feel like every time I do this live, something, you know, the Lord teaches me something, or He has this, I don't know, there's always a plan, and it can be challenging, it can be stretching, but I'll go ahead and read the next chapter. Proverbs 28. The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. Because of the transgression of a land, many are its princes. But by a man of understanding and knowledge, right will be prolonged. A poor man who oppresses the poor is like a driving rain which leaves no food. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand all. Better is a poor who walks in his integrity than one perverse in his ways, though he be rich. Whoever keeps the law is a discerning son, but a companion of gluttons shames his father. One who increases his possessions by usury and extortion gathers it for him who will pity the poor. One who turns away his ear from the hearing of the law, even his prayer is an abomination. Whoever causes the upright to go astray in an evil way, he himself will fall into his own pit, but the blameless will inherit good. The rich man is wise in his own eyes, but the poor who has understanding searches him out. When the righteous rejoice, there is great glory. But when the wicked arise, men hide themselves. He who covers his sins will not prosper, but whoever confesses and forsakes them will have mercy. Happy is the man who is always reverent, but he who hardens his heart will fall into calamity. Like a roaring lion and a charging bear is a wicked ruler over poor people. A ruler who lacks understanding is a great oppressor, but he who hates covetousness will prolong his days. A man burdened with bloodshed will flee into a pit. Let no one help him. Whoever walks blamelessly will be saved, but he who is perverse in his ways will suddenly fall. He who tilts his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows frivolity will have poverty enough. A faithful man will abound with blessings, but he who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. To show partiality is not good, because for a piece of bread a man will transgress. A man with an evil eye hastens after riches, and does not consider that poverty will come upon him. He rebukes a man will find more favor afterward than he who flatters with the tongue. Whoever robs his father, his mother, and says, "It is no transgression," the same is companion to a destroyer. He who is of a proud heart stirs up strife, but he who trusts in the Lord will be prospered. He who trusts in his own heart is a fool, but whoever walks wisely will be delivered. He who gives to the poor will not lack, but he who hides his eyes will have many curses. When the wicked arise, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. I love how they continue to go back and forth with the righteous and the fools. For verse 9, it talks about those who do not listen to God cannot expect God to listen to them. Turns away his ear indicates a decision to turn away from the path of wisdom. The activities of such person, even his prayers, are an abomination to the Lord. I think that's very important, because I think a lot of people are often praying. People pray in all sorts of circumstances, and when you read this verse, verse 9, it says, "One who turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination." It's very important that we are seeking God and walking in his ways. Though we won't be perfect, for the Lord to hear us, he can turn his ear away because we are not, hearing the law. We're not being obedient. We're not seeking him. He becomes a genie at that point. We're like, okay, now I'm in trouble, so I'm going to pray. It's a last resort, so now I'm going to pray. And it's important that that's not the last resort, especially as Christians, because he's the only one that can do anything about it. A lot of times people use it again and again and again. They're just like, oh, all we can do is pray. And I was like, do you not see all the prayers that have happened and have come, through in the Bible? Of course, the Lord is the one who decides, and what he does is I believe the word sovereign. But what he does is, he has a plan. He knows what we need. He knows what's best in the situation. He knows what he allows. And I think a lot of times I heard something today, and I wrote it down because I was doing my Bible study today, and I heard them talk about, it might have been a TikTok, but they talked about how God writes our story. And when there is something that changes in the plan for our story, like he's still writing our story. And I really liked it. It was more like, I don't know, I guess I took it more like a chapter. It's like the story is going to be the same. I'm going to always reach out to God. Like I'm going to always go to him. I want him always to be first. But it may be that the plans he has for me, something might be different than I think is going to happen. Or, like someone in your life might alter that. Or, like he's got a plan, but I think he's got his perfect will, and he has his permissible will. And I think both ways, like he still has a plan. Like his plan is not going to change, but he's going to allow things that are going to grow us, and he uses those things for good. He's going to use all the little detours for good. But the way they put it, it just made me think about that. It made me think of like just the chapters. He's writing each chapter, and the chapters are changing, but in the end, like the story, you know, it is going to be the same, because he has a plan. And I don't think because of detours, you know, that plan is going to necessarily change, but the path might look different, you know. It was just very interesting. And I have to look more into it too, because I think it sounded good. But it's like, sometimes you hear things on TikTok and you're just like, well, I gotta kind of match that up with scripture, because there's so many different things online that are being said, whether it's through AI, whether it's through different, it could be in different kind of religions, you know, even though people can be saying, you know, it could be Christianity, it could be something that goes against scripture. So always match that up with scripture. I just thought it was very interesting when I had heard it. And the main thing I got from it was that he was the author, he was the writer, and I didn't have to look toward the end. I didn't have to see the end in the sense of this time, like this timeline. All I know is that in the end, like, he comes back and we get to go to heaven with him, and we get to be living him with eternally, because we accepted his salvation, and I've come to that knowledge of him as my savior. And whatever happens here, he's in control, and he sees everything that is happening, and there's nothing that he doesn't see. And that's a lot of comfort, and that's where you don't have to worry. You still want to plan, you know, but you don't have to worry, because God holds the world in his hands. It's just he's so big that even our small prayers, like, I love when he answers like the small prayers, because if you can answer a small prayer, like, you can answer a big prayer. Like, I mean, he parted the Red Sea, but I was praying. I really wanted to be on jury duty, and I'm almost done with the live, and I'm like, I just want to say really quick, but I really want to be on jury duty. And I got into like 3 days of the juror, you know, process, and I'm on the last day. I'm literally the last person in the courtroom to be chosen, and I'm like, Lord, it's my birthday. I'm at the court on my birthday, and I'm sitting there going like, okay, Lord, either you're going to let me be on this jury, or I'm gonna be the only one that's like just sitting here and not picked. But the person before me was retired fire department, and had a wife that was a retired police officer, so he got off pretty fast. And I was like, either they can still, because I'm an alternate, and either they can say like, you know, we only need 2 alternates and not 3, or they allowed me to, they called me up there, and they're like, and we were already over it on time. They're like, the judge was like, I know I said that I was over on time, but take your time answering the questions. And I was like, I was so nervous, but I was so excited that I got chosen. And it was a silly prayer. I was like praying to Lord, and I was like, Lord, like, I really want to be on, like, I really want to be, like, I always wanted to do jury duty. And it's been very interesting. I go back next month, but yeah, I'm just amazed, and I'm praying so much, even though I'm not on the jury, like, in the deliberation. I'm just the alternate, so if somebody doesn't show up or gets sick or something, like, they'll choose one of us. I just feel like I'm supposed to be on this case, and I felt it the moment I got the jury duty, because I hadn't been summoned in a long time. And I was like, no, like, even when I got there, everything was just aligning, and I'm like, I'm gonna be on this jury. I'm like, that's very odd. And I don't know. I've just been praying for the those that are making that decision, and the defendant and the plaintiff, and it's a criminal case, and it's just one of those where it's like, the Lord knows, the Lord sees, and praying that whatever reason I'm there, He knows. So, but I hope you guys have an awesome day. I will see you guys soon. I'm gonna finish up Proverbs next time I come on. Bye.